We come today to the last of the epistles of the Apostle John in our travels down the Route 66 Biblical Highway. He wrote three of them, 1 John and 2nd and 3rd. And we're looking at 3rd John today. 2nd and 3rd John, very short, the shortest books in the New Testament. And they are overlapping in themes. They both talk about truth 7 different times. In 3rd John, we find the word truth. Both talk about love. But they're written for different purposes. 2nd John is written concerning those that we should not receive and support who claim to be Christians. Those that are, in this case, apparently they're these traveling church planners and missionaries going out spreading their message. And there was a group of them that were teaching false things about Christ. And John is writing to say we are to love the Lord by keeping His commandments, but not supporting these individuals. 3rd John goes just the opposite direction. There are people going out, spreading the gospel, spreading the message of Christ, starting churches. These are people that the church should support and be behind and help in every way they can. So these people love the truth, and therefore John is telling them to help those particular individuals. He is writing in this epistle to a guy named Gaius. We don't know much about him. He apparently the leader, the pastor, something at the church, a very, very high official. And he talks to him as a beloved Gaius in verse 1, whom I love in the truth. He says concerning him, for I was very glad, verse 3, when brethren came and testified to your truth, that is how you are walking in the truth. And then this wonderful verse 4, I have no greater joy than this, to hear of my children walking in the truth. We're going to make that our key verse of Scripture here. It's a great one. Every church leader, every biblical pastor or elder loves this verse, because as we look back on what we do and what we try to do, there is no greater joy than this, to find our children walking in the truth. And so John makes that very clear in this verse. So that's our key verse. Our key word is going to be walking, taken from this verse, not because it's found anywhere else, but because it permeates the whole idea behind this book. Walking in the truth or not walking in the truth, as we will see. Now concerning Gaius, he says in verses 5 to 8 that he's quite a good man, it would appear. Says, and he's talking to them about these traveling missionaries. Look at verse 5 with me. Beloved, you are acting faithfully in whatever you accomplish for the brethren, and especially when they are strangers, and they have testified to your love before the church. You will do well to send them off on their way in a manner worthy of God, for they went out in the sake of the name, accepting nothing for the Gentiles. Therefore we ought to support such men, so that we may be fellow workers with the truth. So these are the people we should support. They're not accepting money from the Gentiles. In this case, that means the unbelievers. They're not getting grants and trusts and so forth from unbelieving people. They're not going out to the world and asking Bill Gates or somebody else for some money to fund a ministry. They went out being supported by God's people. And these are the kinds of people that we should be supporting, according to John here. And Gaius has been doing exactly that. He says, verse 7, they went out for the sake of the name, accepting nothing from the Gentiles. Therefore, we ought to support them. But there were people who didn't agree with that, and we run into a guy like that named Diotrephes in verses 9 and 10. I wrote something to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to be first among them, does not accept what we say. For this reason, if I come, I will call attention to his deeds, which he does, unjustly accusing us with wicked words, and not satisfied with this, he himself does not receive the brethren either. And he forbids those who desire to do so and puts them out of the church. Now we have a powerful figure in the church there, along with Gaius, perhaps a co-elder, we don't know, but he's a powerful figure, and he is against everything that John's writing about. Matter of fact, he blasphemes and slanders John in order to gain control and power. He's power hungry. These kinds of people float in and out of churches, causing havoc throughout all the generations. He wants his own way, and he's demanding it. And if he doesn't get it, he bullies people and even kicks some of them out of the church. That's an awful thing. But John then moves in to point out to a good example of a man named Demetrius. He says in verse 12, Demetrius has received a good testimony from everyone and from the truth itself. and we add our testimony, and you know that our testimony is true. And so Demetrius is like Gaius, a good man, a man of truth, a man of love, a man who's supporting those who go out in the name of Christ to spread the gospel. Diotrephes doesn't like that. He is threatened by John. He's threatened by these traveling evangelists. He's probably threatened by Gaius and Demetrius. And so he is power hungry, and he is causing great harm to the church of Christ. These three different individuals found in the church teach us a great deal about how God would have us live in truth and to live in love. It's a good book to study. I encourage you to do so. We'll see you next time when we look at the book of Jude. Have a good day in the Lord.